We're back, baby. The Play Action Podcast is back. We took a couple of month break, but yeah, we're officially back. We got a new studio rolling, and we're getting ready for this next season. I know it seems like it's a long ways away, but we're getting there. We still got a lot to talk about. Pretty much just NIL in Colorado, because that seems to be what's taking the headlines in the college football world right now.
Especially Colorado.
Yeah, seriously.
My goodness.
Yeah, it's mostly like the attendance at that spring game. I mean, that was unbelievable. Seeing the side-by-side pictures, we'll throw it up on the video, of, last year's crowd versus this year's crowd at the spring game. I mean, people are getting fired up for a team that only had one win last year. It was
1-11.
1-11. I mean, there's probably never been this much hype for a team who's coming off of a 1-win season, right?
I can't remember one.
I
not off the top of my head.
Yeah, so I mean, Colorado's been a huge headline, and NIL, and I think that's going to kind of kick things off for our topic today. Is how NIL is changing college football, and is it a good thing or a bad thing? So I'm going to kind of just hand it over to Brock, and he's kind of going to spit it at us. What are your thoughts on how NIL has affected the game of college football?
NIL is so wild, because I'm all for NIL. I love seeing kids get their bag, especially when the NCAA is profiting, so much off of it.
Oh, yeah. It's ridiculous to think that these kids weren't making money beforehand.
I can't remember a world where they weren't.
I know, I really can't.
And that was that was like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So I think it's so good to see student athletes making their bag, making their money, because they deserve it. If you're going to play sports at a high level, and I think college sports is a high level. If you're playing, college level sports, you're playing at a high level,
especially D1 Power 5.
Exactly. So I love to see kids, getting their bag, but it's interesting to see how they're using NIL to leverage their schools, especially with the transfer portal.
Yeah.
I know we were talking about a kid who entered the portal and then decided to return to the school, but he was using the portal to up his NIL money.
So to kind of gain leverage
against the school and be like, hey, I want to stay here, but I know there's better, opportunities out there for me elsewhere. So he basically just held them hostage. Was like, hey, if you up my NIL money, I'm staying.
Yeah.
But if you don't, I'm out of here.
Which, I mean, that's changing the dynamic of the entire sport, because that's never been a thing. The luxury to be able to just jump in a portal and be like, hey, they got to match this money or give me more, to keep one of the star players of the team. So, that's changed the whole dynamic. That changes the recruiting process. When you think about, it's like, I want to get a kid to come here, but, other schools are offering, or other schools have, higher NIL opportunities. Let's say for example, like Texas A&M, obviously that's going to, persuade an 18-year-old kid. And you're talking six figures, upwards of six figures, maybe even seven figures for some. We were talking about the Jordan Addison, when he jumped in the portal and he was like, yo, I'm going to see if I can get some money. USC was throwing him 7 figures?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
Big,
7 figures. Big. And of course, he's going to go do that. He's like a 20-year-old kid, and you're talking $1 million at least. Of course, it's going to persuade the decision. So, that's changing the game in that dynamic.
No, yeah. And it's I think a lot of people don't understand how easily, this is an 18-year-old kid.
Yeah.
He's fresh out of high school. I don't want to assume people's, how much money they got, but no kid has 6 figures at 18 or very, very few do at least. But if you're going to, send me on a visit, show me all this cool stuff and be like, wow, this is awesome. And they're like, hey, cherry on top, we'll give you $500K to come play here.
Yeah.
Who's saying no to that?
Yeah. So it kind of gets to the point, how are they going to regulate this? Because I feel like every single year it's getting more and more extreme. I know this is a college football podcast, but you think about women's basketball right now, they're getting all these transfers, ridiculous players. And these girls are going to make over $500,000 this year in NIL opportunities. Why would they turn that down? Why would they turn that down? $500,000 to be doing the exact same thing you're doing last year. You're just wearing a different jersey and you're playing in a different stadium. It's hard for, a teenager to turn that down.
Yeah, I think LSU, it was announced that the basketball player, Angel Reese, and then Livy Dunn, they're both making more than $1 million.
That's unbelievable.
That's insane.
That is crazy. It makes sense. The amount of money that the NCAA generates off of these kids, I mean, it makes sense why they're finally, it confuses me why this took so long, but it's kind of finally exposing how ridiculous that was, if it's honestly like a rights violation in my opinion. Like,
yeah, it's gotta be.
But yeah, it's getting to the point of how are they going to regulate this? Because, I don't like the idea of kids jumping in the portal and using that as leverage and then coming back to their same school. I feel like they need to put a rule in place to where it's like, you can go in the portal and you can go shopping and stuff, but you're not allowed to go back to that same team.
Well, I think the number one rule that has to be implemented is you have to put a cap on it.
A cap on the money?
Yeah, and how much money you can spend, per sport.
Oh, okay, per sport. Yeah.
So it's like
that would kind of like level the playing field.
Well, yeah, because if going into the season you got $5 million.
Yeah,
that might even be too much. I don't even know. Maybe like maybe like 2 million. Maybe 2 million, and you're like, you got 2 million to spend on recruits, transfer portal guys.
Yeah,
that's your cap.
And that's kind of what they had as far as like scholarships in the past. I mean, they had caps on how many scholarships you can hand out, which it levels the playing field. Obviously, higher teams and better universities are going to have like more resources for these kids. I mean, for example, like Alabama is obviously going to have more resources than say like a non-Power 5 conference. I mean, it's going to be easier for them to get higher recruits. But I mean, they do need to put a cap on this because it's like giving one school more scholarship money than another school. It doesn't make it fair, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, like, Tulane, they're coming off a fantastic season.
Yeah.
I can only imagine Tulane isn't spending, millions and millions of dollars on NIL. Yeah. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But like, how is Tulane supposed to compete with, like the Texas A&Ms of the world who are spending reportedly, $30 million?
Yeah. Which they're getting from donors and stuff. So I really necessarily coming from the university.
Yeah. It's like they're known for having wealthy, donors that went to the school. So it's like, how is Tulane supposed to compete with that? Like, they can't.
I mean, you compete with the money, but you look at last season. I mean, Tulane had a more successful season than Texas A&M.
Yeah, it's true.
So I mean, the money could be a bad thing. Handing out that much money, it's just you get all these kids in here who are just focused about the bag, and maybe a kid from Tulane is not as focused on the money because he went to Tulane, and it obviously proved to be a more successful season for Tulane as they won their New Year's Six bowl game against USC.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess that is true because I think there's more that goes into it along with coaching and schemes and who you play. But it just seems wrong. If I was a fan of Tulane or maybe even like I'm trying to think other schools like maybe like Marshall. I know Marshall had a big win over Notre Dame. But like even schools like that, it's like how would you feel if you just can't monetarily compete with these schools? So
I feel terrible. But yeah, I feel like it's going to create a bigger distance between the top programs in the country and the lower programs, and it's all going to be money, which is so unfortunate. That's kind of why I love college sports. Yeah, it was unspoiled. I feel like the players should get paid, but there needs to be a limit to it, or else it's the tradition of college sports is going to be ruined, in my opinion. So
and it's only going to get worse, right? Like I don't think there's a single scenario where it gets better. But I'm just worried for how kids are going to be, even on the more positive side, committing to a school as a freshman because they're guaranteeing you a lot of money and then just collecting that bag and then hitting portal.
Yeah. I don't like that.
And going to where you would want to go.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously.
Or
even just wanting to go to a school because, you can get an education there.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was, the original reasoning behind going to going and playing college sports. You get the opportunity and the privilege to be able to go and get a free education.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to touch on, the Manning situation.
Oh yeah. We were talking a little bit before the pod about Archie Manning. I hope a lot of you know who Archie Manning is. Big time recruit. I think he was the number 1 overall recruit in the last year's class.
Nephew of Peyton Manning, Eli
Manning, the great Manning QBs. But yeah, he's heading off to Texas. He's going to compete for the QB1 spot with Quinn Ewers. And I think the Mannings came out and said, hey, like, you're not collecting any NIL money until you're QB1.
Till you get that starting job.
Yeah, they want him to be, the starting QB before he starts cashing on NIL deals.
I love that.
I do too. Yeah.
I love that. But being in, Archie's shoes, it's like, how does that feel?
Yeah.
Like I mentioned earlier, we were talking about this. He's like, imagine going and working at Best Buy and someone was like, hey, you're not allowed to collect a paycheck until you're the manager. Like how would you feel about that? Like,
yeah, it's a wild. I don't know. I love the sentiment of it. I love being like, hey man, like we want you to work. We want you to, you know, work hard and be that QB1. And then you can collect on all the pluses of being that. But it's like, and I'm not saying this will happen, but what if Archie just never becomes, you know, the starting quarterback?
Yeah.
Does he just lose out on millions of dollars?
Exactly. Yeah.
During his college?
If he never takes it to the next level, goes pro, you know, he's missing out on a ton of money.
Yeah.
Then I'll demand some money from
yeah.
Unc. I'll be like, hey, Unc, throw me some money. Like, dude, I was trying to get it while I was in college and you didn't let me.
Yeah, I'm going to Peyton's house and be like, hey man, you owe me like $5 million.
Yeah. I'm banging on that front door. But I mean, what do you think is the purpose of that? They want him to focus on football. Is that kind of their reasoning of it?
Yeah, I think probably, you know, focus on just football in school.
Yeah.
You know, they want him to be a good, you know, athlete, you know, on the field and off the field. Which I don't disagree with.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, in the day and age that we live in now, like $1 million is life-changing money.
Dude, that is unbelievable. I mean, maybe not for a family like that, but I mean, for a kid who's probably 18 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, that you just put $1 million in front of any 18-year-old, that's gonna change the way they think about a lot of things.
No, yeah. And I know a lot of coaches have come out and said, like, you know, the goal isn't NIL money, like the goal is NFL money, which I don't necessarily disagree with.
Yeah.
Because NFL money is more, you know, long-term and can change your life longer. But,
yeah,
you know, to be 18 years old and cash in on a check.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how you say no to that.
Yeah. So, I mean, through everything, do you think that NIL has had more of a positive impact on the sport of college football or more of a negative, you know, through everything?
I think it's like one of those like up and downs. You know?
I mean, yeah, obviously there's both sides.
Like,
but what is more like, has it been more of a positive or has it been more of a negative? Like, have you seen an actual change within the game to where it's like, I don't know if I enjoy watching this as much as I did in the past?
Like, I think overall it's a positive. You know, I can't say it's not, you know, it's not like teams that weren't competing for national championships are now competing for national championships.
Yeah.
It's like Alabama is still winning championships. Georgia, you know, same thing.
Because they've always been paying players.
They started NIL
nothing
40 years ago.
Yeah.
So, but I just think it's an overall dub. I like to see kids getting paid for their talent, especially when the NCAA is just racking it in.
Yeah.
Like it's nothing.
Yeah.
So I like seeing kids get paid. I do want to see regulations on it though.
I would love to see that as well.
I would like to see it, you know, be more, everybody's on an even playing field.
Yeah.
Rather than like, you know, team A is all the way up here and then team B is down here because they don't have necessarily the donors to make it happen. Mm-hmm. So I like to see it maybe evened out a little bit, but overall I think NIL has been so huge for college sports, and people won't like it because it's not traditional, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you were one of the best at what you did in your life, you'd want to get paid for it.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't want to just be like, well, if I do even better in a couple years, maybe I can play in this league and get paid a lot of money. It's like, well, I'm the best at what I do right now. I want to get paid for it. Mm-hmm. So,
and I mean, it's a physical sport. You're not going out there and playing like tennis or something. Like, I mean, I wouldn't say that they're going out there and risking their lives, but you think about like long-term effects of playing a physical sport like football, you know, they should be getting reimbursed for, you know, putting their body on the line in front of millions of people. I mean, and the amount of revenue that the NCAA produces is just like, you know, there's no reason why these kids shouldn't be getting some money. It's about how do we regulate it and how do we kind of keep that traditional level of, you know, college football.
Well, yeah, just imagine you're the number one overall recruit in the nation. You know, first play, you go out there, you tear your ACL, you're never the same player again. Yeah. NFL is not an opportunity anymore, you know? So for that player to be able to cash in on, you know, NIL checks. Yeah. I think that makes me happy at least. That makes me happy.
Yeah, I totally agree. But we'll see if they ever do, you know, put in some rules and stuff and hopefully keep the tradition of college football alive.